Let's make the call to the bullpen and welcome in John Hein. All right, Hein, the Mets are still underdogs to make the playoffs this year. What's the biggest key for them to be a postseason team?
Good to see you guys. It's what you just said. I think it's the streakiness and which they have to solve and how they're going to fare against teams like the Braves and then the Phillies. You can't be winning 5, losing 6, etc. And of course, the arms. I mean, can the starting pitching hold up over a full year? And the bullpen, which has been fantastic, can they stay hot? Because the bats will eventually come around. I know it's mostly been the top 3 so far, but if the rest of the lineup hits a little bit better, the bullpen stays immaculate, and the starters can get them through, the Mets can absolutely make the playoffs. But this is the litmus test. How will they do against the teams that we know are going to be there in the end, the Phillies and the Braves? We're going to get a good look at that over the next few days and see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are the teams you have to be competitive against and maybe win some of these games if you do, in fact, want to be taken seriously as a playoff team. Speaking of which, Harper wrote a column. Some scouts here told you that the Mets are playoff contenders. Why was that the case?
Well, partly, Sal, because of the National League parity or mediocrity, however you want to call it.
Parity's the polite way to put it.
They're actually tied for the third wild card right now with the Nationals and the Padres. So that's part of it. But also, the scouts see the potential for a lot of improvement with the Mets. If Senga comes back, if Scott turns out to be the real thing, which he looked like in his first start, and then if Alvarez comes back, they think that the Mets miss Alvarez a lot in terms of his defense, his energy, and the home run power that he brings. So that's part of it. And cleaning up some of the problems they've had with the caught stealings, which has been a major issue, and the walks from the starters, which you would think is going to even itself out over the course of the year. And Diaz, too. Diaz has blown a couple of games here. You know, it looked like he stopped trusting his fastball there a little bit. Maybe he went back to it in St. Louis. So, you know, I think maybe he's a little bit wary about it. He doesn't have 100 anymore, but 97 is plenty. That's what the scouts are saying. As long as he mixes it with the slider. He threw 13 straight sliders in that one game when he ended up giving up the home run to Rosarena. You can't be doing that.
You made a great point about that, I think, on Twitter, because it was like it'd been noticed that his fastball velocity was down. I'd written about it. A few other people had written about it. And then he stops throwing the fastball. That sort of confirms that downplaying that, as the Mets have sort of done, as a team would typically do, is not quite right, because it's something that Diaz himself is clearly concerned about. But, you know, him aside, I agree with the scouts who talked to me. This is a borderline or better playoff team, because they're 500 right now, and there's untapped upside, assuming Diaz gets right, and what we haven't seen yet from Alonso, and what we haven't seen yet at all, obviously, from Senga. This is a team.
Martinez too. He's still getting into it, you know.
That's right. If he is indeed going to become the J.D. Martinez that he was last year, there's upside there that you can see. The Mets, Sal, before the season, projected themselves internally to be like an 83, 84 win team. So what we're seeing right now is exactly the team that they expected to be, that 500-ish team. And as I said, there's still clear areas where you could see improvement potentially happening.
Yes, but you could also see some areas of strength right now coming back down to earth a little bit, whether it be the bullpen, whether it be some in the starting rotation. Look, I respect
this offense might just be this offense. You never know.
Well, that's the other part. I mean, it's not now just this year. Jeff McNeil has struggled now 2 years in a row, and Pete Alonso hit 212 or whatever it was last year as well. So what makes me think that he's going to be at 260? I hope that he is. I thought he was going to be, but it's mid-May already.
Yeah.
It's not just mid-May. It's mid-May off of last year.
Lindor's better, but he's still only hitting like 207 or something.
Now, those are some question marks that have to be answered if this team wants to even be taken remotely seriously.